When I got my hands on the S26 Ultra, I did what I've always done. Immediately put it head to head with this phone. And I got what I've always gotten. Two comparable images with varying degrees of digital sharpening, some slightly different color choices, but for the most part, the standard photos and videos we've come to expect from our phones. Which is sad to admit, because this is the S26 Ultra. It embodies the absolute best camera a Samsung device can have. And yet, it's all starting to feel a bit stock. I'm Becca. I take tech outside, and after taking 1,000 photos and videos with this $1,300 phone, I think I figured out what needs to change.
Get it, buddy.
While Samsung has never had the best overall camera on a phone, they've always had a few features that really shine. This year, that's the horizon locking stabilization, which I'm sure you've seen all sorts of people taped to all sorts of spinning things by now. Turn the phone any way you want, and the image, it's gonna stay upright. It's cool. But what I appreciate more than being able to spin the device is being able to flip it around. And my subject, whether it's me or my bud, is gonna be upright. Whereas if you do this without the feature on, when you flip, the image will be upside down. For most folks, I'm sure that this feature will be nothing more than a bar trick eventually, but what has always been more than that in the Ultra is its telephoto lens. And this year, it's no different.
You could see the fire tower, Han. If I remember correctly, that's Balsam Lake. Let me read the map here. Yeah, Balsam Lake. That's my favorite tower in the Catskills. And you got that zoom.
The 50 megapixel f2.9, up from an f3.4, meaning it can capture more light, but more on that in a bit, continues to be sharp as hell and provide that flattened look that you can only get from a telephoto. And when compared to the 17 Pro, the S26 Ultra has slightly nicer focus fall-off, is always just a bit sharper, and definitely brighter, even at the risk of less contrast. But compared to Chinese phones, such as the Oppo Find X9 Pro, with its 200 megapixel f2.1 tele, well, the S26 Ultra is simply not as sharp or as far-reaching. Then there's the Super Res Zoom on the Pixel 10 Pro. This feature uses AI, which is classic Google, using software over hardware, in order to create far more crisp shots at up to 100 times zoom, which is truly impressive and definitely smokes the S26 Ultra's attempt at this level of zoom. But it's all done digitally, meaning that it sometimes leads to AI weirdness. That's why companies like Oppo have released actual telephoto lenses for this system that can optically shoot at 230 millimeters. Oh my god. You of course have to pay extra for this lens, but it is a native option, which is something that Samsung, Google, Apple, well, they've never provided for their users. The most important comparison here, though, is the S25 Ultra, because there has been a slight change to the S26 Ultra's telephoto and main lens, and that's that wider aperture I was talking about earlier, which means that the lens can physically bring in more light. All right, let me show you how that works. See this hole getting larger and smaller? That's the aperture ring. The larger it is, the more light it's letting through to the sensor. The smaller it is, the less light it's letting through. And these numbers down here are the aperture values. So if I set it to 16, that hole is gonna be really small. But if I move it all the way to 2.8, it gets bigger. So the lower the number, the more light it lets through. And that's what Samsung did with these lenses. In practice, the images are certainly brighter, but it also feels like Samsung is giving us less contrast, which I'm never a fan of. Unchanged this year is the S26 Ultra's ultra-wide lens. It's a 50 megapixel babe with an f1.9 aperture. In photo mode, it's got some serious character, with a lot of warping on the edges that sells that sort of larger-than-life feeling. But don't zoom in too far, because that tiny sensor, it ain't the best at holding onto details. But it is the lens that the camera will default to when you turn on the horizon leveling feature. And this is because the horizon leveling feature relies heavily on cropping your image, cropping into your image, and it needs the widest lens possible to do so. And it actually does a pretty good job here, huh? By now you might be wondering, Becca, what the hell is up with this phone case? Well, as you know, Samsung will do anything but put magnets in the back of this device, which a lot of folks think is because of S Pen compatibility, but as a photographer, I think it's just plain annoying, because I own so many MagSafe accessories that I can't natively use with the phone, which is where the Q3 case from Torras comes in. First and foremost, it comes in so many cool colors and has this anti-slip texture on the rails with actual air pockets that act as airbags on the corners. And you know I had to dress it up a little bit. But best of all is this 360-degree magnetic O-stand that is a fun fidget, a great hook, a nice little tripod, but also a super strong magnet that I can attach all of my MagSafe accessories to. I also paired my case with the Torras Org Armor anti-reflective glass screen protector, which has 7-layer anti-reflective coating that preserves the anti-reflective coating of the S26 Ultra while achieving 95% light transmittance. Torras also makes this style case for Apple and Google devices, so check out the link down in my bio if you're ready to up your case game. But we are also doing a giveaway. You see, Torras sent me way too many cases that I'll never be able to use all of, and I want to give them away to you folks. So I'm picking 5 random winners to receive an S26 Ultra case. So if you know that you're getting this phone and you want a case, there's details down in the bio. There's one unfortunate part of this though. I'm personally shipping these out, so you must be located within the USA or be able to receive this within the USA to enter. Thank you, Torras, for sponsoring this video and sending all these cases. Now back to the show. At the top of this video, I explained that when I got this phone, I did what I've always done. And I got what I've always gotten. The same old photo video test that I have been making for years at this point. And it feels like Samsung's been doing the same thing for years too. Up the specs just a bit, keep the colors consistent, modify the app ever so slightly, and they've created a camera that is great, proficient, but increasingly boring. I think what folks want in tech in 2026 isn't specs. I mean, every phone is good, every camera is good, and it's been that way for a few years now. Instead, folks want an experience. They want to have fun again. I think about like point and shoot cameras. Oh my God, I see those everywhere. I mean, the quality is trash, but what's most important about them is that they are incredibly fun to take photos with. Unlike taking photos with these metal slabs that have taken the same photos for years. And what I would love to see from Samsung is an attempt to change that feeling. This is the Oppo Find X9 Pro, and this is the Vivo X300 Pro. They both take great phone photos, but what I find most interesting about them is that between hardware and software, they both inspire me to take more photos. Let's start with Oppo. Within this phone's native camera UI is Master Mode. It offers manual controls, color tuning that supposedly matches that of the Hasselblad X2D, color looks, plus digital diffusion filters, and a different photo processing pipeline. Instead of using local tone mapping, it's using global tone mapping, meaning that the image is processed as a whole and not broken apart into little bits. So for example, it's not gonna even out this photo like it did in the normal mode. Instead, it's gonna let the shadows be shadows and the highlights be highlights, which is more like how a traditional camera works. Though, don't be mistaken, this is far from that. Either way, it creates a look that is different from a phone, and it is so fun to use. Oh my gosh, I love Master Mode, and I'm sorry if you've had to hear me rant about this in person because I have not stopped talking about it since I started using it. And then, on the other hand, we have Vivo. This case has a telephoto lens mount, a kickstand, but also a grip that perfectly pairs with the app, no setup needed, and it actually makes the phone feel like a traditional camera. I mean, this thing is a little silly, truly, but also awesome. And when I go from using something like this to a camera like this, well, this just feels so stuck in the same old Samsung camera ecosystem. And although it has incredible creative tools built within it, I wish Samsung gave me more reason to be inspired to use them. Now, some of you might say, well, the iPhone doesn't have any crazy new software or, Apple-made lenses that you can pop on it, and you'd be right, but it has an absolutely insane app ecosystem, and I'm sure I don't have to tell you that the accessory ecosystem is out of this world because of MagSafe, which, Samsung. MagSafe when? If you're an Android user and you have a camera app that you love, please let me know down in the comments. Otherwise, I'm Becca, I appreciate you so much, and I'll see you on the next one.